This is my journey to becoming a streetball legend, day 98. So I decided to take my training up a bit and start focusing on ball handling, finishing, and shooting kind of individually. So I started the day off with Get Handles Basketball's ball and a string program. Because that's not my program, I'm only showing a couple of drills from it, which were the finger dribbles and then these high to low dribbles. After that, I moved on to doing some tennis ball sets. So I started with bouncing the tennis ball and doing some crossovers, as well as bouncing the tennis ball and going between the legs, and bouncing the tennis ball and going behind the back. I have been doing these drills for a while, so they didn't give me too much trouble, but it was nice to come back to them. So after that, I went into doing some combo dribbles. So I'd bounce the tennis ball and go 2 crossovers or 2 behind the backs. After that, I was tossing the tennis ball, so I found this to be a little bit harder than bouncing it. As for the dribble moves I was doing, they were all relatively the same. Crossover between the legs, behind the back. Sometimes I would combo it and go like a between the legs cross or 2 crossovers. And again, I did find tossing the tennis ball to be a little bit harder just because I found it more difficult to toss it straight up. So then after that, I moved on to something I've not done much in the past, which is tossing the tennis ball off of a wall. I don't know if I really found this much harder than just tossing the tennis ball straight up, but I did enjoy doing this. It felt good. I did feel challenged still. I just don't know if I really found it more difficult for me personally to throw it against the wall or to just toss it straight up. Because I've never really done this before, I only did a basic crossover between the legs and behind the back. After that, I moved on to form shooting. I got good and warmed up there. The plan was to just get my 100 form shots out of the way, and then from there move on to working on shooting at my different spots. So I've still been focusing on getting my shots at the low post area as well as up at the elbows at the free throw line. I've also changed my shooting form up just a little bit. This will probably be the last change that I hopefully ever make to it. So now it's all completely one motion, very fluid. I like it. It feels really comfortable. I've played a couple of games shooting this way recently and it went well. I felt confident that I would be able to get my shots off well. I wasn't worried about getting blocked. So ultimately, I think this is going to be the final form of my shooting form, and it is about as close to Steph's form as I could possibly get it. I just feel like it really works for me. It helps me to get off the types of shots that I want to get off. So obviously, a few more misses on my form shooting today than I have had in the past, but I was kind of expecting that. Again, anytime you change your shooting form, it's kind of going to be expected to some degree for at least a week or so, I guess. So after I finished form shooting, I moved on to the elbows. I wanted to start here so that I could go ahead and get a little bit more warmed up with my mid-range shooting. Same thing, it took me a couple of shots to really get in the rhythm and find the right shooting stroke and everything, but once I got that down, I made 10 shots from the elbow, just stationary, and then went into 1 dribble pull-ups. I did come in from different angles, so I made 10 shots, 1 dribble pull-ups just straight into the shot, and then 1 dribble from the left side and the right side. So I was coming in at a little bit of an angle, but I made 10 shots with all of those, and then did the same thing on the other side. After the 1 dribble pull-ups, I worked on floating the ball into the shot. I do want to try and utilize the float more. It personally is one of my favorite moves, and I feel like I underuse it. And it feels very comfortable for me to just get the shot off from there. As you can see, going to the right, I was actually trying to make sure that my footwork was the same as the left, but just mirrored. And right here, it took me about 30 seconds to just figure out what that footwork was supposed to be. It was definitely awkward at first, trying to float to that shooting side hand, and it did take me again about 30 seconds to figure out what the footwork was supposed to look like. Once I finally got it down though, and understood that my feet were not going to be set properly, then I was able to start really getting into the rhythm of that shot. So next I worked on this spot kind of in the mid-range low post area, just hitting the bank shots. I've been working on that for a couple weeks now. So did 10 just stationary bank shots and then 10 one dribble pull-ups. And then I finished by shooting some threes. So before I started shooting threes, I was shooting the ball off the side of the backboard. I used to do that a lot. It really helped my shot from deep. So then I did my personal favorite shooting drill, which is the 2-3 shooting. So I did that from 3, and then I finished out my day.